Hi everyone, I'm Wendy, and today I have two more Tasty Bite Copycat recipes. I had a request to create vegan, oil-free, Instant Pot versions of some of these Tasty Bite meals. I started with the Bombay potatoes several weeks ago, and today I've got my version of the Madras Lentils and the vegetable korma. So let's jump right in. To recreate a packaged meal, I start by looking at the ingredients list and traditional recipes. Then I come up with my own unique version. The ingredients are listed on packaged products in descending order by weight. That means whatever is listed first is the largest, and whatever is listed last is the smallest. So as you might expect for the Madras lentils, lentils are the star ingredient. And in this case, it calls for black lentils, which happen to be my personal favorite kind of lentils, so I always have them on hand. Unfortunately, they can be difficult to find, and I'm not able to get them at any of my local stores, so I have to order it online. If you're unable to get black lentils, the next best option would be French lentils, because they hold their shape and have a similar texture. But your good old-fashioned green or brown lentils would work as well. I've rinsed 1 cup of dried black lentils, and I'm adding that to my 6-quart Instant Pot, along with 1 can of kidney beans that I've drained and rinsed. Next, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of dried onion flakes. You could absolutely use fresh chopped onion instead, but I chose to use dried onion flakes because that's what they list in the ingredients for this packaged version. Plus, it's really convenient. Then I have all of my spices. 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of coriander, and 1/4 teaspoon of dried ginger. Once again, you could totally use fresh ginger. I'm just going with the dried, again because that's what was used in the original. But fresh ginger has a fantastic flavor and would definitely take this to the next level. And the overall flavor of this dish is really going to be dependent on the type of chili powder you use. Some chili powders are mild, some are spicy, some have a little sweetness. There are so many options to choose from. Kashmiri red chili powder is what was used in many of the traditional recipes that I found. You could also do a combo of any chili powder with a little cayenne pepper to give it a little extra kick if you'd like. Next, I add 3 cups of water and 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I'm adding the tomato paste on top and not stirring it in because sometimes tomato can cause a burn warning in your Instant Pot. I'll put the lid on and cook that at high pressure for 8 to 10 minutes depending on how well done you want your lentils. After it's done cooking, I like to let my Instant Pot do a natural release. And then the Tasty Bite packaged version uses cream and butter, but since we're making this vegan, instead I'm simply stirring in half a cup of soy milk right at the end. You could use whatever plant-based milk or cream you like, but I find soy milk to be one of the creamier plant-based options. And now this is ready to go. Give it a taste and adjust the seasonings to your liking. I usually cook salt-free, but feel free to add a little salt to taste. And then I like to serve this with brown rice and broccoli for a really nutritious and filling meal. To take it over the top, you can add whatever fresh herbs you like. Either parsley or cilantro would be great options. Once again, I was trying to make this just like the packaged meal. And this one is pretty simple, but you could mix it up. Some other great options that are often included in traditional Madras lentils include garlic and red bell pepper. So feel free to use the same basic formula, but mix it up and make it your own. Next up, we have vegetable korma. For this one, I'm starting with 1 yellow onion, and I'm using the sauté function on my Instant Pot. I'm doing that just to get a little extra caramelized flavor, since this meal calls for caramelized onions. But since I'm making it oil-free, I simply started by throwing the onions in the dry Instant Pot. The natural juices will come out of the onions, which will start to caramelize, and we'll use water to deglaze the pan and mix all that flavor right back into the onions. Next, I'm adding some fresh garlic and freshly grated ginger. Again, you could use dried ginger like we did in the first recipe, but I wanted to show you your options, and they definitely do have a different flavor. I personally love the flavor of fresh ginger, but dried ginger does well in a pinch. Then right before we add the rest of the ingredients, I'm going to deglaze the pan one more time to make sure nothing is stuck on the bottom. If you have any food residue left, you might end up with a burn warning. So I turned the sauté function off and I'm adding a little extra water after scraping everything down with my wooden spoon. So now we can add everything else in. I have about 1 pound of diced carrots, about 1 pound of diced Yukon Gold potatoes, a cup of frozen spinach, a cup of frozen corn, and all of our spices. For this one, I'm using 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of curry powder, a half a teaspoon of cardamom, half a teaspoon of turmeric, and half a teaspoon of garam masala. Like I mentioned earlier with the chili powder, the specific curry powder you use will also affect the final outcome of your dish. There are so many different kinds of curry blends, so be sure to pick one you love. Last but not least, I'm adding a little more water. In total, I added about 2 cups. Then I'll put the lid on and set it to cook at high pressure for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to make a coconut milk substitute. Feel free to use regular coconut milk or light coconut milk if you'd like. However, coconut milk has a lot of saturated fat. As someone who has struggled with high cholesterol, I try to avoid that. I added 1 cup of soy milk and 2 tablespoons of unsweetened coconut flakes to a small blender. I simply blend this up, and this way you have that little bit of coconut flavor, but a lot less saturated fat. And I can't take credit for this hack. I've seen other people using it, and I first saw it from Dylan over at the Well Your World channel. Once the Instant Pot finishes cooking and depressurizing, you'll open it up and add this coconut milk substitute. You can add as much of this as you like to get to the thickness you want. I probably ended up using about 3/4 of a cup. Once again, I love to serve this with brown rice. And there you have healthy, oil-free, plant-based versions of Tasty Bites, Madras Lentils, and vegetable korma. Feel free to leave suggestions for future videos in the comments. And if you like this one, hit the thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.